night is cold and silent. The wind cuts through the air, making the flickering neon signs above the gas station sway. A single, trembling lamp casts a dim light over the fueling area, projecting distorted shadows on the damp asphalt. Lena appears, running, her disheveled hair whipping around her pale face, which is marked by sheer desperation. Her trembling body carries the urgency of someone fleeing from something that can only be named by the fear of not escaping alive. She stops near the convenience store. Her frantic eyes scan the surroundings, searching for someone, anyone. Her lips move in an inaudible whisper. Help. Her wide eyes plead for rescue, but no one appears. The sound of tires skidding on the road echoes like a sinister warning. A black car comes to a sudden stop beside the station. Two men step out, moving too fast to let the fugitive escape again. Lena takes a step back. No, please, not again. She tries to run, but strong hands grab her with brutal force. The muffled hum of the running engine, the buzz of the flickering lamp, the distant rattle of a can rolling across the ground. And then a scream. Cut short by the slam of the car door. The vehicle speeds away. Lena vanishes into the darkness. Amy Carter read the message on her phone screen and smiled. Hi, I just saw your photos and thought your smile was enchanting. You have a unique light. I hope you don't mind my message. After months of feeling lonely, that message felt like a breath of fresh air. The sender, Daniel West, had a discreet profile, elegant photos, a few landscapes, motivational quotes, a type that piqued her interest. Hi, thanks for the compliment. You caught me by surprise. And that's how it started. The following days were intense. Daniel was attentive, funny, and affectionate, something Amy hadn't felt in her life for a long time. He seemed to know exactly what to say, when to say it, and how to make her feel special. Their conversation quickly gained momentum, and soon they were exchanging messages all day long. I've never felt this before, Amy confided to her sister, Claire, as they had coffee. What do you mean? You don't even know the guy. But that doesn't bother me. We talk so much it's like we've known each other for years. So when are you going to meet? He's in Barcelona right now, but, Amy hesitated before continuing. He invited me to spend a week there. What? He wants me to visit the city with him. He'd pay for everything. Amy, don't you think that's a little strange? No, I feel like I can trust him. Claire frowned, suspicious. But Amy was so excited that insisting would only lead to an argument. Days passed, and the virtual romance took over Amy's life. Daniel passionately described the places they would visit together, talked about fancy restaurants, and painted a picture of starry nights by the Mediterranean. She caught herself daydreaming more than she should. Then, she accepted the invitation. She bought the ticket, packed her bags, and the night before the trip, she spoke with Claire again. I know it sounds crazy, but I've never been this excited. Just promise me one thing, Claire asked. Send me your location as soon as you arrive. Of course. Amy went to bed smiling, feeling that a new chapter in her life was about to begin. But Claire couldn't shake the uneasy feeling settling in her chest. That night, she decided to dig deeper. She grabbed her phone and looked at Daniel's profile again. Something felt off. All the photos seemed too perfectly produced, as if they had come from a catalog. That's when she had an idea. She used a reverse image search tool to check the pictures. Your blood ran cold. The photos belonged to a European model. Daniel West didn't exist. She tried calling Amy, but her sister was already on her way to the airport. She rushed out of the house. Amy was in the boarding line when Claire appeared, breathless, holding her phone with the screen open. You can't go. What's going on? He's not real. His photos belong to someone else. I looked everything up. Amy felt the ground disappear beneath her feet. No, there must be an explanation. But then she looked at the phone. She saw the images of the real owner of those photos, and something inside her shattered. The loudspeaker announced the final boarding call for her flight. Amy stood frozen. Claire grabbed her arm. If you get on that plane, you might never come back. Amy's heart pounded. In her mind, flashes of conversations, promises, affectionate messages. Everything had felt so real. But now it all turned into something dark and terrifying. She dropped the ticket. She left the airport with Claire, but she wasn't convinced. Inside the car, she wiped her tears angrily. You ruined everything, Claire. I wanted this trip. You're just freaking out over nothing. Amy, for God's sake, you saw the photos. That doesn't mean he's dangerous. It just means that maybe he lied about his appearance. Does that make him a psychopath? Claire didn't answer. She knew Amy needed time to process. When they got home, Amy, distraught, felt a tightness in her chest. She felt like she had lost something. She had used all her miles to buy the ticket, and now she had no way to reschedule. Through her tears, she picked up her phone and decided to call someone who might help. Lena Thompson. Lena was a college friend who always knew everything about travel, tickets, and deals. If anyone could advise her on what to do with her lost miles, it was her. She called once, no answer. She tried again, no response. That was strange. Lena always answered. Feeling uneasy, she decided to try something else. She called Emma, Lena's cousin, who picked up quickly. Hey, Amy. Wow, it's been a while. Yeah, Emma. Actually, I was trying to reach Lena. Do you know where she is? There was silence on the other end of the line. Amy, you didn't hear? Hear what? Lena is missing. Amy felt a chill down her spine. Missing? What do you mean? Since she went to Spain to meet a guy she met online. He lived in Madrid. She hasn't been heard from since she left. Amy's heart nearly stopped. I almost went to Spain too, she murmured. Oh my God, you also met someone online? Amy could barely respond. Her whole body was trembling. Emma, do you have a picture of this guy? Emma took a moment before replying. When she finally sent the image, Amy's breath caught. It was him. The same face, the same smile, but now with a different name. Amy dropped the phone. Claire walked into the room and saw her sister, pale and motionless. What happened? Amy lifted her eyes. He did this to someone else. She disappeared. Claire grabbed the phone, read the message, and looked just as horrified. We need to take this to someone who can investigate. Amy took a deep breath and dialed another number. This time it wasn't a friend. It was Ethan, an FBI contact Claire had met years ago. Claire. Ethan, we need your help. They explained everything. Amy told him about Daniel, about Lena, about the photo. Ethan was silent for a few seconds. You did the right thing by calling me. Do you know something about this? We're already investigating. This guy isn't just a scammer. He's part of an international human trafficking network. Amy's stomach turned. My God. If you had gotten on that plane, Amy, today we might be looking for you too. Amy closed her eyes and felt the first tear roll down her face. She had almost fallen. But now she would do everything to make sure no other woman went through the same. Amy and Claire didn't waste any time. The next morning, they went to the FBI headquarters in Chicago, where Ethan was already waiting for them. He led them to a private room where other agents were analyzing a wall covered with photos, maps, and connections between suspects. This man has been on our radar for some time, Ethan said, showing them a series of fake profiles linked to the same face. But until now, we didn't have a concrete enough case to track him. If your friend has disappeared, this might be our chance to catch them. Amy took a deep breath. So what can we do? One of the agents, a serious-looking man named Turner, typed something into a computer and turned the screen toward them. The last signal from your friend's phone was recorded 3 days ago near a gas station on the outskirts of Madrid. After that, the phone was either turned off or destroyed. But we managed to get partial access to security cameras in the area. Amy and Claire exchanged an anxious look. Turner pressed play. The video showed Lena, visibly frightened, stepping out of a black car and walking toward the gas station. She looked hesitant, glancing around as if searching for help. Then, something changed in the footage. A tall man in a dark suit appeared behind her. He grabbed her arm forcefully, pulling her back toward the car. Lena resisted, gesturing desperately. Her face was pale with fear. In the footage, it was clear that her lips formed the words, "Help, please." Seconds later, another man got out of the passenger seat and helped shove her into the car. The vehicle quickly left the area, disappearing from the recording. Amy covered her mouth with her hands. "They took her." Ethan paused the video and stared at the screen, deep in thought. Now we know where they went. The FBI took action immediately. Within minutes, they had tracked the vehicle from the footage. The car had been recorded passing through a toll booth about 50 kilometers from Madrid, heading toward a remote area. The destination appeared to be an isolated property near an abandoned factory. Ethan grabbed the phone and gave direct orders. "Contact the Spanish police. We need an immediate response team in that area. If Lena is still alive, we have to act now." Amy felt a knot in her stomach. "What if we're too late?" Ethan looked at her, serious. "Then we'll make sure they never do this to anyone else again." The wait was agonizing. Hours had passed since the FBI contacted the Spanish police, and Amy could barely breathe as she awaited news. The last signal from Lena's car led to an isolated area near an abandoned factory, and time was critical. When Ethan's phone finally rang, everyone in the room fell silent. He answered and put it on speaker. "We have a woman," announced the voice on the other end of the line. Amy's eyes widened. "Is it Lena? Is she alive?" The Spanish agent continued. A man hiking in a mountainous area found a young woman unconscious, covered in mud, and with multiple scratches on her body. She was barefoot, wearing torn clothes, and showed clear signs of exhaustion. We called an ambulance and took her to the hospital. She hasn't been able to give many details yet, but we're almost certain she's the woman you're looking for. Amy's heart pounded. "Is she okay?" There was a pause. "She survived, but she was abused." A deep chill ran through Amy's body. Claire put her hands over her face, shocked. Ethan leaned forward. "And did she say anything about what happened to her?" "When she woke up, still very weak, she told us something important," the Spanish agent explained. "She said she was locked in a room inside a house hidden in the woods. But at some point in the middle of the night, she heard the men talking outside. They seemed tense and mentioned that the police were patrolling the area." Amy held her breath. "So she managed to escape?" "Yes," the agent confirmed. "The criminals went out to check the surroundings, and she took the opportunity. She found a small gap in the ceiling of the room where she was held and, even injured and weak, managed to climb up and escape through the woods." "My God," Claire whispered. "She ran aimlessly in the dark, stumbling, falling, scratching herself on branches and rocks. She fled until her body couldn't take it anymore. And then, she passed out." Amy felt a lump in her throat. "And those men? Were they arrested?" "Not yet," the Spanish agent replied. "But now we have a real lead. We will comb the area and hunt them down." Ethan stood up. "We need to go to Spain, now." Amy didn't hesitate. "I'm going with you." Nothing would stop her anymore. This time she would face the monsters head-on. Amy, Claire, and Ethan boarded the first flight to Madrid. The silence between them during the trip said it all. The shock, the fear, the anger, everything blended into a suffocating sense of helplessness. But Amy could no longer ignore the truth. If her sister hadn't interfered, she herself could have been in Lena's place. Upon landing, they went straight to the hospital where Lena was under police protection. When they entered the room, the shock took over. Lena was pale, fragile, covered in bruises and deep cuts on her arms and legs, the result of her desperate escape through the woods. Her eyes were sunken, as if her soul had been ripped from within her, but when she saw Amy, she cried silently. Amy gripped her hand tightly. "You're safe now." Lena tried to smile but only closed her eyes, exhausted. While Lena rested, Ethan received an urgent call from the Spanish police. "We need to go," he said. "We found the hideout." Amy and Claire followed him to the marked location. The dense, damp forest cast a somber tone over the dirt road leading to the site. As they got closer, they saw the orange glow dancing on the horizon. When they arrived, the hideout was in flames. Firefighters struggled to contain the fire, but the structure of the old wooden house was already compromised. Agents ran in all directions investigating clues, but something caught Amy's attention. On the wall that was still standing, a message written in red spray paint stood out amidst the smoke and burning smell. Do you know how it works? For every one that escapes, we take 2 more. This cycle never ends. A shiver ran down Amy's spine. Claire clutched her arm, her eyes wide with horror. Ethan read the message in silence. Then he murmured, "They knew we were coming." The criminal network was not only aware of the police movement but was openly challenging them. The hideout had been destroyed before the police could gather concrete evidence. The kidnappers had vanished without a trace. Amy looked around, feeling a mix of frustration and terror. The game was still on. The Spanish authorities ensured that Lena would return home safely. But nothing would restore the peace that had been stolen from her. At the airport, before boarding their flight back to the United States, Amy looked at a friend. Lena seemed like a shadow of who she once was. "How are you?" Amy asked softly. Lena forced a smile. "Surviving." Claire held her hand. "You're not alone." But deep down, they all knew that Lena would never be the same again. The flight back was silent. Amy stared out the airplane window, feeling the weight of reality crush her. She never felt safe on social media again. She knew that somewhere other predators were hunting, and at any moment, another woman somewhere would receive a message. "Hi, I just saw your photos and thought your smile was enchanting. You have a unique light."